The court is back in session. You may be seated.
All right, this way, please. Up there.
I resume, Your Honor?
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. Mr. Castle, before the lunch break, I had asked you some questions regarding Miss Lord's Jeep. Do you remember that?
Yep.
I also asked you some questions whether you knew if she owned a pair of sunglasses.
Yes.
Mr. Castle, I want to show you this particular photograph and just generally ask you if you recognize what's depicted in that photograph.
Those look like sunglasses.
Okay. And generally, just in a general way, is the style of those sunglasses familiar to you? What style are they?
Those are Ray-Ban aviators.
Okay. And are those, in a general way, consistent with the type of sunglasses you described for the jury earlier that you knew Amy Lord to own?
Yes.
And did she own a pair of those sunglasses as of July 23rd of 2013?
Yes.
Now, you don't know where this particular photograph was taken, correct?
I do not know.
Or where these sunglasses may have been collected?
No.
And what is the condition of the sunglasses as they appear in this particular photograph, sir?
They are missing the right lens.
Okay.
Left lens.
I would just ask that this photo be marked for identification purposes at this point.
E for identification, so marked. Oh, F, I'm sorry.
And I just want to show you this box, Mr. Castle, and show you the contents. And again, asking you the same question. Do you recognize what's in the contents of the box?
Yep.
You can answer.
Oh, yep. They're the Ray-Ban sunglasses.
Okay.
Look to be the same as in the photo.
And do those appear to be generally the same style that you described Amy Lord owning as of July 23rd of 2013?
Yeah, that's correct.
I would ask that the box and its contents be marked for identification purposes at this point.
G for identification, so marked. Your Honor.
Prior to July 23rd of 2013, fair to say you had been to 124 Dorchester Street on a number of occasions?
Yep.
I ask you to take a look at these two photographs, Mr. Castle, and ask you if you recognize what's depicted in each photograph.
That is the entrance of... Oh,
Take a look at them first,
Okay,
each one
sorry.
sequentially. There are two in front of you.
oh, can I touch it?
Sure.
Okay.
Do you recognize what's depicted in each photograph, sir?
Yes.
And what do you see there?
I see the entrance to the apartment in one next to the yogurt store they live next to, and then I just see the side, more of a side view in the mailbox of the apartment that Amy lived in.
And as those areas are depicted in the photographs before you, are they fair and accurate representations of how the front of 124 Dorchester Street looked back on July 23rd of 2013?
Yes.
Maybe you be marked as the next number to give us to on.
Yeah.
Exhibits 12 and 13, so marked. Your Honor.
that okay?
Yep.
I put on the monitor exhibit number 12, what's been marked exhibit number 12. What you described is the front of 124A Dorchester Street.
Yes.
The door itself, you had been there on a number of occasions prior to July 23rd.
Yep, that's correct.
And if you open that door, where does it go?
It goes into like a little hallway that goes up to the stairs.
And is outside of that little hallway, is there anything else there? Is it like a landing area to the stairs?
Yeah, it doesn't go right to the stairs. There's like a little, very small, maybe like room.
You said very small.
It's like a walkway entrance with stairs going straight up.
Would you recognize a photo of it if you saw it?
Yep.
Okay. Now, the door itself, does it open in or out?
In.
In. And the door itself, you see it's a dark, was it a light or dark color?
Dark color.
And at the base of the door, directing your attention right here, sir, to this portion of the door, do you recall what was there?
I don't, I'm sorry.
Okay. And as far as this particular exhibit goes, sir, exhibit number 13, I want to direct your attention, if you're facing the front of 124 Dorchester Street,
Yep.
okay? Do you see that okay?
Yes.
If you face 124 Dorchester Street, what is located to the immediate left of the building?
A parking lot.
And about how high is that brick wall to the left of 124 Dorchester Street?
Oh, it's low. It's probably like, on me, it's probably like between my knees and my waist.
And how tall are you?
6 feet.
As far as that parking lot goes, do you know who had access to it?
No.
You had just described for the jury in the court a little bit about the area once you walk in through that front door.
Yep.
How would you get to Amy's apartment once you go in through the front door?
You have to walk up 2 flights of stairs.
Okay. And the first flight of stairs, once you walk in, would be right in front of you?
Correct.
And where would that lead to?
It would lead to like the second floor.
Landing?
Yep.
And once you reach the second floor landing, would you turn to the right or to the left to find the next set of stairs to go to the third floor?
You turn to the right.
Okay. And would you walk a distance to find another set of stairs that goes up to the third floor?
Yeah, so you'd walk the length of the other stairs and then walk up, like a zigzag approach.
I want to show you a series of photographs on this board, Mr. Castle, and ask you if you recognize them.
Okay.
And starting from the left, if you could just take a look at these photos, go to the right and let me know when you're done.
Yep.
Do you recognize what's depicted in these 4 photographs?
I do.
And what do you see there, sir?
All the way to the left is the entryway door. Then the next photo is the entrance that I talked about where the stairs are right there. The next photo would be a down view from like halfway up the stairs up to the second floor, and then the last would be looking at the door closed if you were standing in that room.
Okay. And are these fair and accurate representations of how that area of 124 Dorchester Street looked back on July 23rd of 2013?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
I think so. I don't completely remember. I don't know like that pipe. I don't know what. Yeah, I just don't know. That right? I wouldn't say I don't know. I know it's a door.
Generally, sir, I'm asking you, are these fair and accurate representations generally of how the area...
Yes, generally, yes.
Okay. Would this be marked as the next number exhibit?
Exhibit 14, Your Honor.
Can you see that okay, Mr. Castle?
Yep.
Now, showing you, or just referencing exhibit number 14, how would you describe that area once you walk in? And by that I'm referring to the second photo in from the left on the exhibit.
Yep.
Was that a fairly tight area if you walked there? Walked into the front door?
Yes.
Okay. Fair to say that there'd be nowhere to go to your left, nowhere to go to your right?
Yep.
And about the only place you could go was where?
Upstairs.
Straight up the stairs. And just directing your attention right here for a second, sir, to the far left photo. Can you see it okay from there, or should I bring it close?
I can see it.
Okay. Do you see what appears to be a plate or a different type of texture to the door at the bottom as it appears to the top?
Yep.
That front door, was it a locking door?
Yes.
Did you have a key to it?
No.
Excuse me, I didn't hear the answer.
No.
Was there a doorbell there on the outside?
I don't remember. I never used it.
And why is it that you never used it?
I would just always text somebody when I was there.
And they'd let you in?
Yep.
Before the break, Mr. Castle, I asked you about Miss Lord's Jeep. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And you had referenced a certain type of sticker.
Yep.
Would you recognize the sticker if you saw it?
I would.
Yes, I want to show you this photograph right here. Do you recognize anything in that particular photograph?
Yes.
And what do you recognize in that photograph?
I recognize the sticker that was on the car.
Okay. And is that a fair and accurate representation of the exact same sticker that she had on the back of her car, on the back window?
Yep.
And is there anything else about this particular photograph, notwithstanding the sticker that you just identified, that you recognize?
Yes.
And where do you recognize the backdrop of that picture to be?
Looks like, actually, I couldn't tell you where it was. I can just identify certain objects on it.
Okay. What objects can you identify, sir?
The glasses and the Victoria's Secret's perfume.
Okay. And do you recognize those as belonging to anybody?
And the earrings in the ring. Sorry, on the Cooking Light magazine.
Do you recognize those as belonging to anybody?
Yes.
Who do they belong to?
They belong to Amy.
Okay. And where did she typically keep those items?
On her dresser in her room.
Okay. Does that appear to be the dresser in her room?
Yeah, now that I piece it together, yes.
Okay. Is it a fair and accurate representation?
Yep.
I would ask that this be marked as the next one.
Exhibit 58, so marked.
Only if you know, Mr. Castle, do you know what the CJB stood for, those initials?
One of her friend's names who passed away. I know the first name is Chris, but I don't know outside of that.
Okay. And do you know what the 13 indicated? If you know.
I think it's a sports number, but I don't remember 100%.
ask you to take a look at this particular photograph, sir.
Yep.
Direct your attention to the left-hand side of that photograph. Do you recognize a vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. And what portion of the vehicle is displayed in that particular photograph?
The back of the car. The back window, to be exact.
Based on looking at that vehicle and the back part of the vehicle that's captured on that photograph, do you recognize the car?
Yes.
And whose car do you recognize it to be?
Amy's.
Okay. And is that, what can you say to the jury about where the sticker on the back windshield is located?
Sticker's on the lower left side of the back windshield.
And is that a fair and accurate representation of our car, how it appeared back on July 23rd of 2013?
Yes.
May this be marked as the next number to give it going?
Yes.
Exhibit 16, so marked, Your Honor.
I put up on the monitor exhibit number 16, sir. Can you see that okay, Mr. Castle?
Yeah.
Now, fair to say, you yourself don't have any first-hand knowledge of where that photograph was taken, do you?
No.
But you can say to this jury that based on the part of the vehicle that's depicted, that's her car.
Yep. Yes, correct.
In the aftermath of July 23rd, 2013, Mr. Castle, did you have the opportunity to meet with police investigators regarding the death of Amy Lord?
Yes.
And during that time frame when you met with them, did you have the opportunity to review certain photographs?
I don't remember.
Okay. Would you remember your signature if you saw it?
Yes.
I want to hand you this photograph, sir, and ask you if you recognize that particular photograph and the writing on it.
Yes.
Okay. And whose signature appears in the upper left-hand corner, sir?
That's fine.
Okay. And is there a date and time on it below?
11:03, August 27th, 2013.
And whose handwriting is that, sir?
That is mine.
And is there a particular vehicle, or what is it about this photo that you saw that you can tell the jury?
Amy's car in the background.
And what is it about the car that you recognized?
You can notice the sticker even though it's moving in the left-hand side of the windshield.
Okay. And that particular photograph, fair to say that you have no first-hand knowledge of where it was taken.
That's correct.
But are you comfortable telling the jury, based on what you see in that photograph, that that's her car?
Yes.
May this be marked as the next numbered exhibit, Your Honor?
Exhibit 17, so marked, Your Honor.
And just referencing exhibit number 17 on the monitor, The vehicle you're pointing to is this black vehicle right here.
That's correct.
And you described for the jury and noted the sticker in the lower left-hand corner of the back window.
Yep, that's correct.
In relation to July 23rd, 2013, Mr. Castle, when had you most recently seen Amy Lord?
July 22nd.
Okay. And that Monday, did she have any injuries?
No.
Did she have any bruising that you were aware of to her face?
No.
Did she have any injuries to her teeth at all?
No.
I want to show you a sequence of 4 photographs, Mr. Castle, and ask you to take a look at these.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And do you recognize, first, the person that's depicted in 2 of these photographs?
Yes.
And secondly, do you recognize, first, the vehicle in the background of that person, and then secondly, in the last 2 photographs, the vehicle appearing on its own?
Yep.
And with respect to the first 2 photographs, sir, who do you recognize this individual to be?
That's Amy.
Okay. And the vehicle in the background of those particular photographs, whose vehicle do you recognize that to be, sir?
Her car.
May these be marked as the next numbered exhibits, Your Honor?
Yes.
Exhibits 18 and 19 so much, Your Honor.
Mr. Castle, secondly, showing you this sequence of 2 photographs, I already asked you, do you recognize the vehicle in these 2 photographs?
Yes.
And you recognize that to be whose vehicle, sir?
Amy's.
And with respect to the second of the 2 photographs, Mr. Castle, what is the vantage point that's captured on that particular photograph of the vehicle?
It's the side and back, right-hand side and back windshield.
And relative to that photograph and the vantage point that it captures the vehicle, can you see the rear windshield?
Yep.
And what, if anything, do you see in the lower left-hand corner of the rear windshield, sir?
The sticker that we talked about.
May these be marked as the next 2 numbered exhibits, Your Honor?
Yes.
Exhibits 20 and 21 so much, Your Honor.
Mr. Castle, fair to say, with respect to the sequence of photos I just showed you, the sequence of 4 photographs, fair to say that you don't know where these photographs were taken?
That's correct.
But you can say to the jury, you can testify today that you know who was depicted in the photograph, in the vehicle in the photograph as well?
Yep.
Taking Exhibit 20 off of the monitor, and I'm going to ask you about Exhibit number 21, sir. you see that okay?
Yes.
With respect to exhibit number 21, Mr. Counsel, same vehicle, the lower left-hand corner of the rear windshield.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Do you see any other markings in the car at all? Meaning stickers, bumper stickers, or anything like that?
No.
Are you aware, do you know what a transponder is?
Nope. No, I don't.
You don't. And lastly, sir, I want to show you a sequence of 2 photographs starting with exhibit number 18. Do you recognize the woman in that photo?
Yes.
Did you recognize that to be Amy Lord?
Yes.
Mr. Castle, can you see what appears to be an article of jewelry around her neck?
Yep.
Okay, and I'm going to show you exhibit number 19 for a moment. It's a close-up of that photo.
Yeah.
Can you see the same article of jewelry?
Yes.
And did you know, or can you further describe that article of jewelry? Were you familiar with it?
Yes.
What was it?
It was a necklace that had a wing on it.
And as far as that article of jewelry goes, Mr. Castle, you said it was a necklace that had a wing. What kind of wing was it in particular, if you know?
I do not know.
Just have one moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
That's all I have to say.
Mr. Pappas finished your honor. I have no questions this witness. Thank you.
Detective Steve Blair. Sir, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give the jury in the court now hearing should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Could you please just introduce yourself to the court and to the jury and spell your name?
Yes, my name is Stephen, S-T-E-V-E-N, Blair, B-L-A-I-R. I'm a detective with the Boston Police Department.
And Detective Blair, how long have you been working for the Boston Police?
33 years.
How long have you held the rank of detective?
I believe 26 years now.
Where are you presently assigned?
I am assigned to what's called the Special Investigations Unit.
How long have you been assigned there for?
At least 15 years.
And where is the Special Investigations Unit located?
We're located out of Boston Police Headquarters.
And where is that?
That's 1 Schroeder Plaza, runs off Tremont Street, right by Ruggles Tea Station.
And Detective Blair, what is it that you do, or what are your duties and responsibilities as a detective on the Special Investigations Unit?
Normally handle high-profile cases that come through the city. I have an expertise in financial crimes, so I handle most of the large financial crimes, including like embezzlements, identity fraud, credit card fraud, all those kind of cases.
And as part of your day-to-day responsibilities, handling those types of cases, do you have regular contact with local banks
I do.
within and around the city of Boston?
I do.
And you've been doing that for about 13 years?
At least, probably closer to 15.
I want to direct your attention back to July 23rd of 2013, Detective, ask you some questions about that Tuesday. Were you working on that date?
I was.
And did you go into Schroeder Plaza to your offices at the Special Investigations Unit?
No, I was actually over at the U.S. Attorney's Office prepping for a trial over at federal court.
So you were down on Moakley Way?
That's correct.
Okay. And what time did you get to the courthouse down there?
Probably about 2 o'clock.
Now, at some point while you were at the Moakley courthouse, did you receive a phone call from a Lieutenant Detective Robert Harrington?
Yes, I did.
Where was Lieutenant Detective Harrington assigned at the time?
He was assigned to my unit. He was my supervisor at the Special Investigations Unit.
Do you recall what time he contacted you at?
Around 3 o'clock, 3:15.
And what was the nature of the call?
That there was a missing person, and they were trying to locate the missing person.
Okay. Did you have a name?
I did.
And what was the name?
Amy Lord.
And after you received the name, were you tasked with doing anything relative to Amy Lord?
I was given her particulars, and then I reached out to banks to see if she had a bank account.
And when you say her particulars, what do you mean by that, sir?
Date of birth and social security number.
And what are some of the banks that you reached out to?
I believe it was Bank of America, Citizens Bank, mostly your larger banks.
And as far as the banks that you reached out to, did you receive any information about her having an account at a particular bank?
I did.
What bank was that?
Citizens Bank.
And how quickly did you learn that she had an account at Citizens Bank, sir?
Right away. As soon as I put the what I would call a feeler out to see if anyone had an account, I got a response right away from an investigator by the name of Joe Bennett for Citizens Bank, who responded that they had an account.
And as far as Mr. Bennett goes, fair to say that July 23rd, 2013 wasn't the first time you had had any dealings on an investigation with him?
I had numerous over the years.
Numerous. Did you come into receipt of certain records relative to Amy Lord?
Yes, I did.
And what were the records that you came into receipt of?
It was a spreadsheet showing Amy Lord's debit card for her bank account with Citizens. It showed the activity of her bank card.
And with respect to that spreadsheet, at some point did you review certain records that backed up the spreadsheet?
That's correct.
What were the type of records that you came into receipt of?
Bank records, photos.
Okay. First, let me ask you about the bank records. Would that have included biographical data?
Correct.
And would these have been the actual hard records of her account that the bank maintained?
Correct.
Detective, I just want to show you this packet and ask you to leaf through it if you would, and let me know when you're done.
Yes, this is bank records pertaining to Amy Lord's bank account.
Okay. And did you confirm an address with respect to these records for Amy Lord?
Correct.
And what was the address?
I'd have to look at the file again to get the address. Are you talking about the bank that I served with this?
Her address.
Oh, her address?
Her account information is what I'm asking.
Yeah, her account information was verified through the documents. It has the address. It has They'll have her social security and all her particulars.
Okay. And when you received that information, Detective Blair, were you aware of certain information that was gathered as part of a missing persons investigation relative to Amy Lord?
Yes.
And relative to the bank records you reviewed from Citizens Bank and the information gathered from the missing persons investigation, did they coincide, match up with each other?
That's correct.
May this be marked as the next numbered exhibit, Your Honor, the bank record?
Yes.
Exhibit 22, so marked, Your Honor.
Detective Blair, you had referenced a moment ago a spreadsheet.
Correct.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that? What did the spreadsheet, first of all, when did you receive this spreadsheet?
I received it shortly after I was notified that Amy Lord had a bank account at Citizens. They put a spreadsheet together for me and some photos.
Okay. And from an investigative standpoint, was that something that you requested?
Yes.
And were you interested, as far as your investigation goes, in reviewing bank activity?
That's correct. I want to see if there was any activity with her card and where those locations were.
Okay. And let me ask you a follow-up question on that, Detective Blair. Was there a particular time frame that you were interested in regarding her bank activity on that Citizens Bank account?
Yes, they were all for June 23rd.
June?
I'm sorry, July 23rd, 2013.
Okay. And were you interested in a particular time frame of the day on July 23rd of 2013?
I was just looking from beginning of the day to end of the day.
And how responsive, you said his name was Mr. Bennett?
Correct.
How responsive was Mr. Bennett with respect to that information?
I got it back in minutes.
And what format was the information in?
It looked like an Excel spreadsheet.
Just ask you to take a look at this board, Detective Blair. Do you recognize the information contained on this board?
I do.
And what do you see here, sir?
This is the spreadsheet that was emailed to me immediately from Joe Bennett that showed the activity on Miss Lord's debit card.
And you reviewed this on July 23rd of 2013?
I did.
Is this board, this enlargement, a fair and accurate representation of the spreadsheet you reviewed?
Yes.
May this be marked as the next numbered exhibit, Your Honor?
Exhibit 23, so marked, Your Honor.
Now, relative to the last numbered exhibit, before I start asking some questions about that, did that spreadsheet include particular addresses of certain banks in their branches?
It does. It contained the addresses, the banks, and actually the terminal number that was used to do the withdrawal.
And do you have a first-hand recollection today, as I ask you these questions, Detective Blair, regarding the number of branches that were captured on that spreadsheet?
Yes.
How many?
I believe a total of 5.
Okay. And with respect to those 5 branches that were captured on the spreadsheet, at some point during the course of the investigation, did you either map out or see a map of those locations?
On that day?
Or after that day?
I don't remember if I saw the map of it. I knew all the locations, so I really don't remember if I saw a map.
And let me show you this exhibit then, sir. Or this board, excuse me. At some point in your investigation, did you become aware of where 124A Dorchester Street was located?
Yes.
And did you become aware of where the 5 branches that were captured on the spreadsheet were located?
Yes.
In showing you this particular board for a moment, sir, Do you recognize generally what's depicted on this board?
I do.
And what do you see there?
Those are the ATM locations of the withdrawals that were made on Amy Lord's account, and also Amy Lord's address, home address.
And is this a fair and accurate representation generally of the areas of those, of the locations of those ATMs on July 23rd of 2013?
It is.
May this be marked as the next numbered exhibit, Your Honor.
Exhibit 24 so much, right?
Now, Detective Blair, after you received the spreadsheet, at least with respect to some of the banks, you said there were 5?
Correct.
Well, maybe even to all of the banks. Did you request any additional information?
I did.
And what type of information did you request?
I asked for photos from anyone.
What type of photos?
There would be bank surveillance photos of the ATM areas where the transactions had been used.
And can you explain to the jury why you were looking for those photos from an investigator, or what you were looking for in those photos?
Well, as in most missing persons reports that we get in and follow up on, I want to see who's using a card, if it is being used, and so I requested pictures to see who was using the card at that time.
And did you make the same request of Mr. Bennett?
I did.
And was he responsive to your request?
He sent it right away to me.
In what way? What did you receive?
They were all done by email. I was doing this all while I was over at the U.S. Attorney's Office. This was all happening within minutes.
Okay. And Detective Blair, as you were receiving this information, were you making it available to anyone else in the Boston Police Department?
I was.
And could you tell the jury who you were making it available to?
I was making it available to Lieutenant Harrington over at my unit. He's my supervisor, and other members of my unit.
And witness the time, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Up on the easel, Detective, is what's been marked exhibit number 23 in this case. That's the spreadsheet you received from Mr. Bennett?
That's correct.
And could you walk the jury through, starting at 7/23/2013, the first line, and explain what the entries in the columns are going from left to right, sir?
If you have the date of the transaction on 7/23/2013 at 6:03 a.m., a request of $400 was made to the ATM for a withdrawal. This will tell you that it was an ATM withdrawal. It was approved. There was no denial. This will be the terminal number of the ATM machine that was used to make the withdrawal. And this was done, it says East Boston Savings, but at the time it's known as Mount Washington Bank.
That particular location was where, sir?
501 Southampton Street in South Boston.
Now, relative to that, the first line on that exhibit, where it says East Boston Savings Bank at 501 Southampton Street, that particular branch, were you familiar with it?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And you said it was known as the Mount Washington Bank. Back in July, on July 23rd of 2013, was the signage Mount Washington Bank on the outside?
I believe it was, yes.
Okay. And we're going to go back and forth a little bit on these exhibits, so bear with me, Detective Blair. here. I want to put exhibit number 24 up on the easel. The location of that particular Mount Washington bank, is it depicted on exhibit number 24?
It is. It's the second line down with the two red dots, Mount Washington Bank, 501 Southampton Street.
Detective Blair, you said a moment ago that as part of your role in this investigation, you developed an awareness or had an understanding of where 124 Dorchester Street was located?
Correct.
What part of the city or what section of the city is 124 Dorchester Street located?
South Boston.
And can you tell the jury the approximate distance, in a general way, from 124 Dorchester Street to that Mount Washington Bank location at 501 Southampton Street?
I would say less than 2 miles, between 1 mile and 2 miles.
Okay. And approximately, if you can answer the question, how long would it take you to travel that distance by car?
Less than 5 minutes. With traffic, probably about 8 minutes.
Next line on exhibit number 23, the next entry was at what time, sir?
Same date. This was at 6:10 a.m. That's another request for $400. But now you're going to see, it says completed 403. If there's an ATM withdrawal done at a foreign ATM branch, meaning not a citizen's branch, there's a service charge, as we all know. And so it would become $403.
Was there a service charge on the first withdrawal?
It was a $2.50 service charge.
Okay.
And there was a withdrawal made, it was approved, had the terminal number. Now, this one was done at the Metro Credit Union. It's located at 1071 Mass Ave in Boston.
And just putting exhibit number 24 back on the easel for a moment, is that particular location depicted on exhibit number 24?
It is.
And what is the distance, as you understood it to be, between the Mount Washington Bank and the Metro Credit Union Bank located at 1071 Massachusetts Avenue?
A short distance, I'd say just a little over a mile.
Now, with respect to those two banks that you just testified to where withdrawals were actually made, you had testified a moment ago that you had an opportunity to review certain photographs that were delivered to you or sent to you by Mr. Bennett.
That's correct.
Fair to say that you didn't have photographs of the Mount Washington Bank.
I did.
But did you receive photographs from the Metro Credit Union?
I did.
The third line on the exhibit number 23 is what date and time, sir?
The third one is on the same date, but now it's at 6/11. It's another $400 requested. Completed 0. Transaction type was an ATM withdrawal. It was denied. The reason why it was card limit exceeded.
Okay. And what branch was that attempted withdrawal made at?
It was done at the Metro Credit Union, same location, 1071 Mass Ave in Boston.
And again, with respect to the terminal, was it the exact same terminal?
It was.
And 1 minute later from the previous one at the Metro Credit Union?
That's correct.
What was the next entry on that exhibit, sir, number 23, on the spreadsheet?
The next one is at 6:35, and that's for $200. It wasn't completed. It was done through an ATM withdrawal. It was denied, and it was denied for the same reason. The limit was exceeded. Monetary limit was exceeded. And this is done at the Bank of America in Uplands Corner, Dorchester, Mass.
And just showing you exhibit number 24, did you learn as part of your investigation that the Bank of America at Uplands Corner was located at 555 Columbia Road?
Yes.
And about how far was that from the Metro Credit Union at 1071 Massachusetts Avenue?
It's a little bit farther than the other one was because the it's a little bit more of a distance. I would give that probably 2 miles at least.
You've been a detective and/or police officer for the Boston Police Department for 33 years.
That's correct.
Has your work taken you to literally every section of the city across the city of Boston?
It has,
Okay.
back and forth.
And based on your experience as a police officer and detective, the direction from the Metro Credit Union to the Bank of America at 555 Columbia Road, would you say that was heading towards South Boston or away from South Boston?
Going from the Metro Credit Union to Bank of America would be heading towards South Boston. I'm sorry, it'd be away from South Boston.
Away from South Boston.
Correct.
Thank you. How many attempts were made at the Bank of America at 555 Columbia Road, sir?
There was 3 transactions and 1 completion.
Okay. And the time frame that those transactions were taking place at started what time with respect to the first transaction at Bank of America?
The first one's at 6:35. The second one's at 6:35, and the last one was at 6:36.
Okay. And as far as those 3 transactions, how many were approved?
One was approved for $100, and then it was charged $103 for $3 service charge.
Okay. And the last one at 6:36 was denied as well?
That's correct.
Okay. Detective Blair, the next entry that morning on July 23rd, 2013, was at what time, sir?
That was at 6:40.
Okay. And could you walk the jury through that transaction or attempted transaction?
It was a $100 request for the ATM withdrawal. It was denied. Same thing, that the money limit had been exceeded. And this one was done at Sovereign Bank, now known as Santana Bank. And that was located at 585 Columbia Road in Dorchester.
And was that a short distance from the Bank of America located at 555 Columbia Road?
It's about 15 feet, 20 feet.
And is that particular location depicted on exhibit number 24, as it was known back then, the Sovereign Bank at 585 Columbia Road?
It is. It's pointed right here.
And regarding that particular location, 585 Columbia Road, the Sovereign Bank, going back to the spreadsheet for a moment, Detective Blair, how many transactions or attempted transactions were made at that particular ATM?
There was three transactions, and out of the 3, there was 1 approved.
And what time did those transactions start at?
It started at 6:40, and they ended at 6:40.
Okay. I just want to back up for a moment, sir, to the Bank of America. That was about 15 feet away.
Correct.
Were all 3 of those transactions attempted at the same ATM terminal?
Yes, they were.
Okay. And relative to the Sovereign Bank, were all 3 of those transactions either made or attempted to be made at the same terminal?
They were.
And how many of those did you say were successful?
1.
For how much?
That was for $60, but the charge was $63.
And those were made at 6:40 a.m. on July 23rd of 2013?
Correct.
And lastly, sir, is there one more or 2 more lines, 2 more entries on exhibit number 23?
Yes.
And could you walk the jury through those last 2 lines?
Last ones, and these were at 6:47 a.m., and there were 2 attempts for $60. They were both denied. And they were done at Citizens Bank. It's located at 217 Adams Street in Dorchester.
Okay. And again, Were those transactions attempted at the same ATM terminal?
That's correct.
And I'll show you exhibit number 24 for a moment. Detective Blair asked me to take a look at this. That Citizens Bank you found out was located at 217 Adams Street in the Dorchester section of Boston.
Correct.
Is that commonly referred to as Fields Corner?
That's correct.
And about how far is that from the area of Upham's Corner, 585 Columbia Road and 555 Columbia Road?
That's a little bit of a distance there. It's probably about a 5-minute ride.
And again, I'll ask you the same question that I asked you before, Detective Blair. Based on your experience as a police officer for 33 years, that Citizens Bank, is that in a direction moving away from South Boston or towards South Boston?
Away from it.
You can resume this answer.